started selling it, man. I was like, my mom, I came
You started
home,
moving noodles?
I started moving noodles. Like, I was like, bro, this is 50 cents a pack, right? I came home one day and my mom's like, Tommy, where the f*** is all our noodles?
So MasterChef, it's not like you're there looking at a recipe. It's on the fly. Like you got to remember the recipes.
Oh, you don't have access to recipes.
No recipes.
Sorry, I don't really watch MasterChef, but
Yeah, it's all like heart. Like you got to remember it from the heart.
I swear to God, right? I think one of them was a restaurant dish too. I didn't even make one of them. It was like
It was like your auntie's restaurant.
yeah. It was like a
fake it till you
I
make it.
think it was like a.
All right, y'all, it's Max here.
Good day, this is Bal.
And welcome to
Broken Rice Podcast.
All right, and we got guest Tommy here. Man, what how should I introduce you? Like celebrity chef or just like
Just Tommy Pham that cooks, man.
Tommy Pham that cooks,
I
man?
was on MasterChef, but don't worry
Yes,
too much about
season
that.
13, right?
13 and 14. I was dumb enough to do it twice.
Yeah, what the hell?
How do you do it back to back? Isn't it like, was it a special 14 episode?
Yeah, so the next season was like a favorite season.
Ah,
So
right,
they
okay.
get their favorites, and
Yeah.
obviously
Fan favorite.
fan favorite.
Fan favorite.
Fam favorite?
Fan favorite. Oh, we're going there today, Max. We're going to the Pham fund.
Well, he said earlier.
Sorry, that was me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too. I'm just copying Bao.
I guess for people on this side of the world,
Yep.
how about you tell us about the experience of MasterChef Australia?
Yeah, MasterChef Australia is sick. Like it's an amazing opportunity and experience. I came into it not knowing shit about food. Like seriously, I came into it not knowing anything, man. Just eating and cooking at home. And like you get into this environment where it's just like 24 people who are like full on into food. Like they're making crazy stuff, man. And like I came in like, bro, I make bún and chao and just little things that stuff like that at home, and I've got nothing on you. But then you get into this environment and you're like isolated. You're away from family, away from everything. You're stuck in this little space, and then you're just like forced to grow. Right? You're like, well, if I want to stay, I've got to learn how to do shit. I've got to learn to do it quickly, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you don't get many opportunities in life to kind of have that time to do it. You know, and like of course, if you want to cook and something, you have your own space. You do it whenever or whatever, right? But when you're in the space like that, like when you're forced to grow, that's where you like exponential growth happens.
Yeah.
You're just there, you're like, oh shit, this guy's doing this. I'll do that. I had to look mum into it or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like you start thinking about what you do or what you know, and then you see what other people are doing and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool, man. It's not too hard. You know, I'll put some yao yum or some Vietnamese freaking herbs into an oil and shit and see how I can do it. So it's crazy, but it's hard, man. You go in and you film like at the beginning, first 2-3 months.
Yeah.
You're in there for 12, 14 hours, man.
Yeah, right.
For 2 or 3 months.
For 2 or 3 hours every day. Just you have like five or 6 days of filming.
So you have no access to outside world?
So like it's changed a little bit where like they get you into like a service department.
Yeah.
And you have a space, a 2-bedroom apartment, and you share it with another person.
Yeah.
And you get ingredients, you get stuff like that, and you can go outside and you like go shopping, get food or whatever.
Okay.
But you're like stuck in this world anyway, because like every day you're filming, so you're like, I need to figure out how to do this and stuff, right? So you're always going and thinking about food, buying ingredients, using whatever ingredients they give you to kind of practice.
What's the hardest part of MasterChef? Is it like the physical demand, having to do like 14-hour days, or is it just the mental of just like having to film feel like you're on your game for months on months on months?
Yeah, I reckon it's definitely a mix. At first, physical game, if you do not have that physical game and that kind of stability at first, plus that a little bit of your mental game at the beginning, it's game over. If you can't take the heat, you're out.
Yeah.
Like within the first 4 or so people that are out of the competition, they've just been burnt out by the competition. They just can't keep up with everybody's like just smashing
Do
through it.
they offer like what's the mental support do they offer?
Yeah, they offer it, but like you can't give mental support for people trying to like risk so much of like their passion, right?
Like, but do they even brief before like the whole entering the whole process? Are they briefing you on like what's it like, or they just go full bull? That's it.
There's a brief, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole like there's little meetings that you go into like, yo, it's gonna be crazy,
Yeah, right. Okay.
You know, if you need help, we've got the help for you. You know, let us know, call us, tell us, we'll support you. But it's it's like freaking the world now, man. Like it's hard to ask for help, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're that's a problem with mental health, and like it's hard to ask for help even if you need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so physical at first, and then about halfway through, the mental stuff starts coming in, right? Because you're pretty exhausted, and then when you're exhausted, that's exactly when the mental kind of stress comes in. And like if you start breaking, that's when people that can't have it or don't have it like mentally kind of strong attitude start falling apart as well.
Man, start dreaming about MasterChef as well while you're there. It's just like becomes your life and absorbs you, doesn't it?
Absorbs you 100%. But like, I think everyone knows that like if you, and that comes with the pressure as well, if you do well enough in MasterChef to, you know, you project your kind of brand, the person you are, and also cook well, then it'll take you places, you know, it'll take you wherever you want to go.
Yeah, I actually want to back up just a few steps real quick. You said it's almost kind of like make or break, but you saw some of your greatest growth during MasterChef. What's some growth you saw in yourself? Was it like in your cooking skills, the way you thought about food, or the way you cook, or like where'd you see that growth?
I think the biggest growth for me was, and it's a very like Vietnamese Australian thing, and Bao probably can relate to this as well. Like growing up in Australia, I always shied away from like my Vietnamese heritage, right? I was always like, nah, you know what, I'm gonna be like Aussie as, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to fit in, I'm gonna be real Aussie as, and like, you know, not talk about the food and stuff I eat at home, all that kind of stuff. And I always, you know, really didn't want to, because there's a stereotype of like being Asian, Vietnamese or whatever, and not like, it wasn't the best stereotype, right? And you'd be like, oh, like that guy's so dodgy, all that kind of stuff, right? So you want to kind of, when you're growing up in Australia, you want to shy away from that because you're like, I'm better than that. I want to show people that I'm, you know, just like you, I'm a person that can be respected.
What was your lunchbox like?
Well, see, I was lucky, right? And I might be because I forced my mum to just give me money to buy school lunches. So I was eating like fish and pommies, and I was like tomato sauce and stuff. I was like sick, you know.
Yeah.
But I still brought in like, you know, din din noodles, crunched them up, a little bit of seasoning, snacks, and then
Ate them dry.
Still a little bit of Asian there, still a bit of Vietnamese.
Still, got all my white friends on it.
Jesus, that's like snacking 101. You were the bro. Your white friends were like, damn, boy, what's this flavor?
Yeah. And then, oh shit, man, give me more. And
MSG, bro.
I started selling it, man. I was like, my mom, I can't.
You started moving noodles?
I started moving noodles. Like I was like, bro, this is 50 cents a pack, right? I came home one day and my mom's like, Tommy, where the fuck's all our noodles? Like, where are all our noodles? Like, there's no noodles to eat. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I've just been selling them, man. And mom's like, well, how much are you selling it for? I'm like, 50 cents. She's like, oh shit, it's a pretty good profit, man. But it's all profit for me, right? Because she's buying it. I'm just taking straight up.
Mom didn't get a cut.
No, she didn't get a cut, man.
Oh, hell yeah. Man, cheap labor.
You exploited me, now I'll exploit you back. But even going back, what even made you decide to? You said you weren't into food as much.
100%.
How did the whole I'm gonna enter MasterChef?
Yeah, seems like there's a big ass fucking gap there somewhere. I don't like food that much. MasterChef.
Look, so I seriously, I was coming into the competition. I was probably at the bottom of the list of knowing shit about food.
Yeah,
100%. You know, like on weekends and shit, I'd go home to mum's house and shit. You know, there's always a cook up or whatever. Someone's making pho, someone's making whatever, and I was always the person to kind of like season it, finish it off. Hey, he told me just do it, and it was just like something I did. It wasn't like I didn't think about it. Or like if we're making bun stale, I'd be the person frying it up and shit. I just make it better than fucking everyone else for some reason.
You got someone who swears more than me.
Yeah, we're over our fuck limit already.
Is it an Aussie thing? Is it
I think it is.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna try better not to.
No, be yourself.
Unfiltered, bro. I just filter myself, but whatever.
So there was this one time, like one of my friends, the story of how it all happened, right? One of my friends, like his whole family took me out to dinner and shit. And it was like a really quite a nice dinner, and I was like, hey, let me cook for you guys, you know, just to say thank you, right? I came over to the house. I made bun stale at the house, like put turmeric all over their kitchen, like couldn't get it out for freaking weeks or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, as I was driving out of the driveway, his mum was just like, hey, you're a pretty good cook, man. Like, go on MasterChef or something.
Yeah.
And then she just said it as like a flyaway comment, right? Like, whatever, it was just a joke, right? And then like that's where the seed came in, right?
Right.
She planted the seed, and I was like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll do it, right? And then I went home, and then like just happened to see like a little TV commercial, like castings open, like sign up, whatever. So I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll sign up, I'll do it, and it takes forever. Like the application takes forever. Like it'll take you days to sign up for it. And I was like at the limit, like right at the end of it, and I was like, I gotta get this done if I want to do it. I did it, and then for some reason that season they were like, we're getting like all of the favorites back, so no one else is coming in.
Yeah.
And then so I got declined, and I was like, whatever, I'm not doing it. I shot my shot, I'm out.
Yeah.
Then the next year comes rolling around, and then I get an email going, hey, yo, Tommy, like we loved your application last year.
Right.
Do you wanna keep going with it, right?
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, let's see how we go. And then I started shitting myself, right? As soon as she said, yeah, you want to do it? Fuck. She's like, oh, what do you want to cook, Tommy? And I was like, give me a couple of days to figure out what I want to cook, right? Like, what's your signature dish or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I want to show variety. I want to show skills or whatever. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna make mussels like 3 ways. Right? I'm gonna go, Japanese style like butter shoyu mussels, and I'm gonna go Italian style like friggin',
Okay.
and then I'm gonna do like a Thai style like curry coconut flavored broth mussels, right?
Yeah.
And I told her, and she kept the straightest face, but like in reality, she's probably like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, what is he doing, right? And after I told her, I kind of sat back and I was like, man, that doesn't sound right, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It feels like it's so far from what you are cooking on
Yeah.
MasterChef.
And it's so far from what I know as well,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So then because it was like a week later, and I was like halfway through, I was like, I quickly emailed her, I was like, hey, I'm gonna change the dish, and I'm gonna just make like cháo gà, gỏi gà, nước mắm gừng or something, something that's closer to my heritage. And like I did it, and then like thinking back now, I'm just like, it's like I don't know what it was, somebody above was like, bro, take a step back.
Ancestors from above.
Yeah.
Just like be true to yourself.
Yeah, be true to myself. Must have been some of that incense that flew into me in the morning.
It was like nắm dỗ that thing or something.
Yeah. But yeah, like I did that, and then I was like, yeah, this is it. This is where it's at, right? But I didn't really understand it yet. I got into the competition, and I was still like, I got to do some French shit. I got to do some real fancy stuff, right? I came in and I started cooking that kind of stuff, and every single time I was knocked back, but luckily I didn't get like eliminated near the beginning. I was knocked back, and they're like, bro, what are you doing? Like literally every single time they're like, what are you doing? This tastes like shit.
Yeah.
Tommy, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're gonna leave soon if this keeps happening, right?
Right.
And then like one of the first dishes that kind of like made me really realize on that season was like, it was like a competition about take home the bacon or some shit, right? Like,
Take home the bacon.
what's the saying again? Bring home the bacon?
Bring home. I think so.
Why you look at me?
It's an American saying.
Oh, it is?
You're white. Something about bacon.
Yeah, something about bring home the bacon, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, back to my roots, a little bit about bacon as well at the same time. And I made like a bún chả kind of with bacon and mince.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And then like I made like bacon
it.
rashers, the fatty parts of the bacon rashers, and I seasoned it like bún chả as well,
Right.
garlic, oyster sauce, all that stuff, and like it was like candied up.
Yeah.
All the thing was all candied up, and like I made this thing, and it was like, then in MasterChef, like you're not allowed to make bún from like noodles, right? You gotta make that shit fresh.
Oh, shit.
I think you have to make your own bún.
I had to make my own bún, man.
Fuck
And then
off.
for the
What?
first time in my life, I was like, I gotta learn how to make bún, man. And it's not easy, man. Like
On fucking TV.
on TV, man. I was like, fuck.
I don't think any mother at home makes
Nope.
their own bún. I was like, bún to nướng to
Yeah, the
nướng.
aunties at the market don't even make their own fucking bowl.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
No one makes their own bún, man. So obviously, because you're on MasterChef, you gotta make some stuff from
Yeah.
scratch, right? So I figured out.
That's
how to
pretty
make
cool
bún.
though.
Yeah,
you
it's pretty
You
cool.
get to show the public
Yeah.
the skill level involved in making something like bún chả.
Yeah. And then so I made it, and then they were like, bro, welcome back. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Like it
Nice.
was like
Good on you.
I had that first dish.
Yeah.
I was fucking up for ages. I was messing up for ages. And then I got that dish, and then like, yeah, welcome back. This is what you need to start doing. And then I started like really thinking about like my heritage and what I ate growing up, what we ate growing up. It's kind of stuff you eat in Vietnam as well. And I was just like, do this stuff like real well. Like practice techniques, sure, right? How to make like a beurre blanc, how to make like a mayo, how to make all those kind of hollandaise sauces, right?
Yeah.
But practice your roots as well.
Yeah.
So I practiced making like the best bánh canh cua you could ever make. I started practicing like the best bánh xèo you could ever make.
Yeah.
So that when it came time when it came time for me to kind of be really tested,
Yeah.
I really understand those flavors, so I can change it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big kind of coming of age situation in MasterChef.
Yeah.
Because you go in, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you realize, okay, I've got to go to an area that I know like the back of my head, right?
Yeah.
It's like, of course, we can cook like freaking pasta carbonara and stuff, but we probably do it, I don't know, 5-10 times a year or something, right? But you make pho for how many years, right?
Yeah.
You make a pho, let's say you fuck it up midway. So
Yeah.
let's say you mess it up midway, right?
Yeah.
You know how to fix it like this. Natural, right? You don't even have to even worry. You're like, oh, maybe put too much salt. Let's add a little bit of sugar, a little bit of whatever.
Yeah.
We'll season it differently, right?
Yeah.
So then if you're in a competition, 60 minutes in, 30 minutes in, you're like, I messed it up.
Right.
But you know how to bounce back straight away.
Yeah.
So you can fix it. But let's say I'm in a competition and I'm making a carbonara that I know how to make.
Yeah.
You know, I make it a couple times a year. I mess up 30 minutes, but mentally you're not strong enough to really think far ahead about how am I going to fix this because
Yeah.
you haven't fixed it that many times.
Yeah.
I got you.
Right? But in like, I fixed a boom cha, I fixed, you know, a pho that my mom stuffed up like a million times.
Oh yeah, you bring up an interesting point. So MasterChef, it's not like you're there looking at a recipe. It's on the fly. Like you got to remember the
Oh,
recipes.
you don't have access to recipes.
No recipes.
Sorry, I don't really watch MasterChef,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's all like heart. Like you got to remember it from the heart.
You got to remember like you got to remember as much as you can.
Yeah.
If you got to study like how to make it, like
so you were there live filming. You're making bong from scratch
make
without a
boom scratch.
recipe.
Without a recipe. You're
Holy
just like,
fuck!
You nervous?
That's probably why I'd never enter a show like that. I'd
It's-
be out first episode. I probably wouldn't even make it past auditions.
yeah, it's crazy, man. Like making boom from scratch. I can do it like so easy now. I can like just not even think about it. I can make boom from scratch.
cool.
But I won't because I'm not wasting my time in making a boom from scratch where I can get a good quality try boom and cook it up.
So like first season, you were on like season 13. Were you kind of like? I mean, were you like, oh shit, I made it this far at any point, or were you just like, oh my god?
Every week, right? At the beginning, every week, I'm like, bro, I'll stay another couple of days. I'll
Yeah.
stay another couple of days. I'll stay another week, another week. And then like it starts to get serious. You're like, oh damn, like I can get to the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fucking boom from scratch.
Yeah. This getting serious. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And you're like, oh man, I've really got to get my shit together.
Yeah.
I might be able to win this. I might be able to do something, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's that last stage, I reckon it's like 90% mental.
Yeah.
And you're like at the top 8, 90% mental. If
Yeah.
you have a tiny slip up that you can't come back from, you're done.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
What was your mentality like? Was it just like, were you almost like intimidated because everybody, like I said, there's a lot of talent. Everybody thinks about food 24/7. Or you were just like, man, I got y'all. I can do this. Like, where were you?
I was intimidated,
Yeah.
100%. Like I didn't even have an Instagram page of like, let me tell you how bad my food kind of understanding was, right? In the application, it's like send us 3 photos
Yeah.
of food that you made recently, right?
Yeah.
But I had to go into my Google like Drive photos, right? 5 years back to find a decent photo of food.
Yeah.
Man, I used to cook food, sure, but I didn't
Yeah.
take photos of my food, man. I just cook it, eat it. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
that big of a thing, man. Looking at everyone else's Instagram, it's like years worth of like food that they're taking photo of that, you know, they've been doing and stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm not gonna make it past a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just all about that grind. If you keep grinding, you keep, you know, just doing what you know best, you'll make it out.
What were those photos that you sent?
So I had like I swear to God, right? I think one of them was a restaurant dish too. I didn't even make one of them. It was like
It was like your auntie's restaurant.
yeah. It was like a
fake it till you
I
make it.
think it was like a boom dish from a restaurant, and I was like, looks good enough, right? Let's put that one in, and then like, and the quality of the photos were terrible as well.
Yeah.
You know, you go 5 years back of any photo,
Yeah.
it's like, that's not recent. It's like most recent photos within 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, I used to work in computer science, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, I went in, just in case, I went in to like modify the dates of the photos and stuff to say, oh, it was like new.
Yeah.
So instead of like 2015,
Yeah.
it was like 2022. I was like, oh, yeah. And I had a guy as well with some therm on top of it, like
Yeah.
a guy therm,
Yeah.
right? And like a guy kung or something. They were terrible. Honestly, I don't know how they let me in. Like the photos were terrible. I rushed the application.
Do you think it's like when they're casting, they gotta have parameters of like different personalities more than the food itself?
100%.
different backgrounds, but different ethnicities. Like, oh, you know, maybe we need a Vietnamese guy this time.
Yeah, they need diversity,
Yeah.
right? They can't just have
Yeah.
a whole, like, I would say it's like 50-50 at the beginning at least.
Yeah.
It's about 50-50 about your personality, how you can work on TV and stuff,
Yeah.
and your food.
Yeah.
Because there's some people, I reckon you go to a producer's audition before you go to the judge's audition.
Right.
Like a background kind of
Yeah.
audition. And there's some people that cook like Michelin star stuff, right?
Right.
But they can't like say a proper word to the camera.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And they're like, we'll see you later, man. Like,
Yeah.
we're making a TV show, we're not
Yeah.
making...
I wouldn't make it past.
Yeah, definitely.
I tell people all the time, like, I got a MasterChef because my pretty face, right? And then fucking, the rest just happened.
The cooking came later.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So what made you crazy enough to go back for season 14?
Look, I at first when they called me up, go, hey Tommy, do you want to do another season? I was like, get lost. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean?
Because you got little kids at that time,
Yeah,
right?
I left my 6 months old for the first season, and I came back and it was 1 year old,
Oh,
and it was
damn.
during COVID.
Oh.
So the rule is for MasterChef, if you've got kids under 3 or something, they let you go back every second week or something to visit them.
Under 3.
Under 3 or 4 young kids,
Right.
basically, right? They let you go back every two weeks or so to come visit them, so you don't kind of lose that touch. They want people to still be connected to their families, but it was during the thick of COVID,
Yeah.
so we couldn't move interstate.
Yeah.
Just in case if they lock the borders,
Yeah.
the show's stuffed up. They can't. So we were like, I saw him probably like 3 times within the 6 months.
Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah,
that had to
must
make
be
it
so
even
tough.
harder, more
Yeah.
mentally like draining, and just like not only the
Exactly.
pressure of the show, but damn, I'm alone. My
Yeah.
family's fucking
Exactly.
going on
And
without
you're-
me.
And like, that's like, well, some people were like, bro, like, is it real on TV? Like, why are you all crying and stuff? It's
Yeah.
like, they don't see that background with like, man, I haven't seen my kid that's 6 months old and he's
Yeah.
like starting to walk and stuff in like ages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're like, I'm so drained. Like, you know, I just cooked 75 minutes and like 75 minutes of like being completely on, like you're moving faster than you've ever moved before to get shit done.
Yeah.
And like you're thinking about how you're gonna make this dish work and if it's gonna work within the time frame.
Right.
And then you're like mentally exhausted as well. So at the end of a lot of those cooks, you're just like, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
And then you're just like, you can just burst out of tears at any moment,
Yeah.
just from being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not doing it again, guys. Like, peace out, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my thing now. I'm gonna start my own thing. And then I was like, I'm not gonna leave my family no more. And then they're like, nah, come on, like, come. We'll let you bring your family this time.
Okay. That's nice of them.
No, sorry.
What happens when you're fan favorite?
Yeah. No, I didn't. Actually, it was the other way around. I was
Fam
like,
favorite.
Fan favorite. It
Told
was
you
the other
this
way
guy.
around. I said, no, I'm not doing it because I'm not leaving my family. If you give me an opportunity to bring my family, then I'll think about it.
Family.
Fam,
That's another
my
one.
Oh my god.
family. Yes. That's a classic one, though. That's a classic one.
It is a
That's a
classic.
good one.
That's why I shied away from saying my family kitchen in the book because I didn't want it to like flop, right?
Right.
Oh yeah. So well, now 2 seasons done, season 13, season 14, and I guess your life changed a lot. I mean, you have an Instagram now.
Yes, I have an Instagram now.
It's pretty darn popular.
Yeah.
I see some photos now, lots of cooking, and like your whole life's changed just being on MasterChef, right?
100%. I do a lot of brand work. I get to do a lot of stuff with food, like that I could never thought I could do.
You're
You know what I
doing
mean?
pop-ups, and people are inviting you to things.
Exactly. Invites, pop-ups. I get to collab with brands that I really love, and you know, I found a new passion for not only food but like my own Vietnamese heritage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like before MasterChef, it was like, yeah, I'm Vietnamese. Yo, that was about it.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, yo, man, like, I think the biggest thing for me is that I often get messages from the show, people saying like, oh man, I really wanna thank you for like really representing Vietnamese culture in Australia, you know, and like growing up, we didn't see that kind of stuff on TV, so you don't know that there's other people like that.
Yeah.
You don't know that other people can accept that kind of culture
Yeah.
in Australia, right? So I had so many messages, and it's not like Vietnamese Australian, it's just Asian. In
Yeah.
Australia, it's like Asian Australians are
Yeah.
a group, right? We all eat the same food. We all kind of relate to the same kind of growing up. So like, I had so many people message me saying like, man, like, thank you so much. Like, I came in to work today, had a friend, you know, start talking about banh cuong and
Yeah.
stuff, and like, it's just a great way for people to start connecting,
Yeah.
right? And it's if you can do something in your life and get people to connect and feel more comfortable with where they live, then nothing else matters, man.
Going back to family, a lot of your food,
didn't even wanna say
that
it,
you're
you
doing
still
through the
did.
show, you always related to your mum.
Yeah.
She's like obviously a big inspiration to your cooking. So
Yeah.
what was her takeaway from you entering that show and your journey through that? What was her reaction to
my
it?
mum is, there's two types of Vietnamese mums. There's really shy ones
Yeah.
that like just keep to themselves, and there's the ones that are just OTT OG style, right? My mum's OTT OG style. She's
Yeah.
just like, I go around town whenever I go to like Cabramatta, like which
Yeah.
is like a Vietnamese town in Australia, right? She'll hook me by the arm and she'll be like, hey, it's my son Tommy, you know Tommy from MasterChef. I'm
So
like, Mum,
cute.
Mum, stop that. Like just she's walking
proud.
around the whole, she's
Yeah.
really proud of it
Yeah.
and stuff. And like, it's so nice to see her be able to kind of talk about me in a way that's like, hey guys, you see, you know MasterChef, like,
Yeah.
we're doing Vietnamese food on MasterChef now,
Yeah.
and it's cool. you
She
know?
wasn't one of those like, oh, why'd you cook it like that type of thing.
Oh, no. Like, I will tell you a story though, right? So coming on to season 2,
Yeah.
they're like, make a signature dish for your first dish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this is, you're going up against, in the second season that I did, I was going up against like winners.
Right.
Winners, people that have been around for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I've been around for 6 months basically.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I've been doing food for about 6 months
Yeah.
properly. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do anything right. Like I'm not,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm gonna win this first challenge, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just like really push this Vietnamese thing. I'm gonna like cook the dish that I would never usually cook because I'd be too afraid to cook it for like a Western culture, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, bro, boom, I'm doing it. I'm gonna mess this kitchen up. It's gonna stink, but it's gonna be good. You know what I mean? It's gonna be funky. It's gonna be fresh. It's gonna
Yeah.
be like the best boom mum anybody's gonna eat, right?
Right.
So I'm telling my auntie, my mom and stuff, and they're like, don't do it. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, you know what that dish is, Tommy. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, but isn't it cool if like I can show boom mum to like the world, to Australia?
Yeah, 100%.
Make it like, show them that this shit is good. It doesn't matter how it smells or whatever. This is like where the flavor's at, right?
Pretty fucking delicious
Yeah.
dish. What type of bum bum did you make? Like what, like more like Da Nang style or more like?
I would call it the style that I ate growing up.
Yeah, okay.
So just boom mum, and I had, classic
Family style.
family
God
style.
damn, dude, you're at your limit. Stop.
Bắp chuối, chopped
Yeah,
bắp
for
chuối. Thịt heo. I mean, heo whey.
Yeah.
I made heo whey as well. Prawns, eggplant.
Oh, nice.
So would you say what style is that?
The style, the fam style.
The fam style.
Fam style shit.
Fam style boom mum, right? So yeah, every single Vietnamese person I told
Yeah.
that I was making boom mum, they're like, don't be an idiot, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, nah, this is cool, man. I'm repping and being proud of Vietnamese cuisine to the highest.
I respect that so much because I think Vietnamese shy away from, they're like, oh, foreigners can't eat mom tom, they can't eat
Yeah.
mom nem, they can't eat mom
Right.
rok. I'm like, no, fucking put it in their fucking face and make them love it.
Yeah.
Let them accept the culture. Like stop shying away from your
Yeah.
culture.
It's always
put it out
giving
there.
people the easy way out.
You give
Yeah.
it easing way out by people coming here and you speaking English with foreigners. No, speak Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Make them learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and I think it's like shadows from our parents as well. Like they came to Australia and they're like, nah, we need to be accepted in some way so that we don't get like criticized for like making. So I get it. I get where they're coming from, but as the new generation, second generation Australians or whatever, we need to be like proud of what we do, right?
Yeah.
So I came in, I'm like, I'm gonna stink this kitchen up. I'm gonna make some real good bum mum. And honestly, the ingredients that I used to make that bum mum, you'd probably feed like a family of 10. And I made probably 2, max 3. You could probably make max 3 bowls out of it.
Yeah.
So imagine like the intensity of like the chicken broth flavor, intensity of the like using prawn heads and everything to really like give that umami flavor to it,
Yeah.
man. And I'm like, yo, this is me, man. Like, let's do it. And the crazy thing is, the judges are like, this is, and I to this day I still pinch myself, and they're like, you got it. That's it.
Yeah.
No, none of these dishes here today
Yeah.
are gonna beat this dish.
Man, that's crazy.
And that's special, man. Like, even if like, doesn't matter about the competition, but like personally,
Yeah.
and like for the Vietnamese community, it means so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
this dish you've been scared to like show people, even
Yeah.
though it's truly who you are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just see how like everybody actually loves it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of a cool feeling.
It's like a memory I'll have like for the rest of my life that I'll look back onto like this is one of those key kind of pivotal moments in my life. And like that video went like, because I don't do Facebook, right? Vietnam is very Facebook, whatever,
for
right?
sure.
We're like, Australia's more like Instagram or whatever. But on like Facebook, like it blew up, blew up.
Viral.
Like viral for like Vietnam and everything. Because they're like, this guy's in Australia, he's Vietnamese, but he's making boom mam. And Vietnamese people know boom mam, right? So they know it's like pretty pungent.
Yeah.
They would be, worried to show foreigners the same dish. But they're like, oh my God, it's so good. And it just shows, and it's a good thing for Vietnamese people as well to feel more accepted by foreigners, because it's like, oh, maybe I can, give this white boy some bum, give him some.
Yes, please.
So just more like, I guess, wanting to know more behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You don't you go to this back kitchen or this little shopping area that you collect all the ingredients.
Yeah.
They have those ingredients available. Do you have to tell someone that you want that in there?
So for that day, because everyone's doing like a special signature cook, you're like, you need to get me these ingredients for my dish.
Ah, okay.
Right? Because it's the first episode, they're like, you're going to come in and make a signature dish.
Right, okay.
It's like, they're giving you a pre-warning so that you give them a list of all the stuff you need and they try their best to get it.
Okay.
Right? And like,
That's not someone pissing, by the way.
Sorry, get some water.
Max.
Being a good host.
Yeah, so usually you just work with whatever you've got in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, it was just like, of course, there's always Nuc Mam, right?
Yeah.
There was Nuc Mam, and then from Nuc Mam, I could do anything, right? Like, I can...
Conquer the world.
Yeah, conquer the world with Nuc Mam, man.
What brand the mum was it?
What brand Nuc Mam was it? You know what? The first season, there was probably... I gotta say, it was probably Squid brand. I'm pretty sure the first season. It wasn't like one of the best. I think near the end, they might have put 3 crabs, but... That was the extent of it. When I came back and they're like, yo, Tommy's coming back.
Yeah.
Let's fancy up this fucking Nuc Mam situation.
Damn, you changed MasterChef.
I changed the Nuc Mam, the whole Nuc Mam pantry, man. There was like 5 different Nuc Mams. There was like...
Fuck, that's so sick.
So sick. There was like Redbird, and there was Sun, and there was...
I think that's a badass accomplishment, honestly.
Yeah.
That's one of the cool fucking accomplishments.
That's like fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
it's showing growth, right?
Yeah.
All the really, really good high-end brands of Nuc Mam. And I was like, sick.
Yeah.
I get to cook with some pretty good Vietnamese ingredients now, and then even like all the little condiments as well.
Yeah.
All they're now all really good brands.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
I think that's what I really like about, in Australia, we don't really have our own cuisine. It's
Yeah.
always influences by people coming and adding their touches to food or their cultures.
Yeah.
So adding more varieties of Nuc Mam
Yeah.
is an amazing feat.
Yeah, crazy.
What was the going back to your mum? What was the first thing you ever cooked for your mum, like ever?
Cooked for her.
Yeah.
Far out. What was the first thing I ever cooked for her?
And what did she say?
What was more nervous, MasterChef
Yeah.
judges or your mother?
Yeah, cooking for mum's way worse than the judges, I'd say. No, everyone knows a Vietnamese mum is hard to impress. You know what I mean? Or they know how to make it better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? I would say, I can, because my mum's more like a South Central Vietnamese. She didn't really eat bún chả, right?
Right.
Bún chả like Hanoi style, right?
Yeah.
So I think I always, when I try to make a dish for her, make something that she doesn't really know too much about, just so I can get away with it. Because if she's eaten it for like years and I make something,
Cheeky move.
Dude.
I'd get, knocked out. So bún chả, I think I made for her and she loved
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like it's such a underrated dish, I reckon.
So, I mean, you said you're becoming more proud of like your Vietnamese heritage. I'm sure some of that goes to not only showcasing Vietnamese cuisine, but then you realize like, damn, there's still a lot I don't know. Is there a certain like section of Vietnamese cuisine like you're most interested in right now, or
I'd say-
something learning?
I think the biggest, I love like, cause my mom kind of grew up in like Phan Thiet area, and my dad was Mui Ne, right? Like my dad was
right
like
there.
a fisherman family, right? So I'm really into that kind of seafoody, kind of really fresh, kind of really take care of the ingredients, but then still make it really Vietnamese. That's where I tend to gravitate to. I would say, and then like Vietnam is so good in like every single kind of province or area has amazing dishes, right? And then I love to just look at different, like go to Da Nang and you can get like Mi Hoa Ang or something, or all these different places have really special dishes that
Yeah.
like if you can just learn from every single province, there's so much good food out there.
Oh, for sure.
I'm running out of kids. I think we maybe take a little break for now. My head's just like throbbing.
Are y'all hungover or something? What happened?
A little bit. Oh yeah, we'll talk about this one.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Tommy and I got to do this little CEO cook-off type of thing.
Amazing.
What was the dish that you did?
I made like a chagalavom, but I changed it up to make it. I still kept it kind of very to its roots. I just changed it up to make it look a little bit nicer and just a little bit elevated the flavors in a different way.
Are you a good teacher with the CEOs where you're like, dude, no, what are you cutting that? Oh my God. Like,
My CEO, I had some pretty good CEOs on my team, and like I kept the task pretty. I mean, it's a pretty simple dish as well. Chopping, frying, they all did an amazing job, and it's so cool to see. With cooking as well. It's like cooking in the higher kind of level of cooking. It's amazing to show people like it's really all simple stuff. It's just time consuming. You know what I mean? Like
There's a lot of prep work involved in Vietnamese.
if you show
cooking,
like
yeah.
if you shave some cucumbers and like twirl it up,
Yeah.
people are like, whoa, man, that's so like fancy. But you're literally just cutting it super thin
Yeah.
and then like folding it, right?
I
And
love
it's
your
like
French technique.
yeah. it's all about like, and I think it's really cool to show people that like really at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's all the same. Or for maybe for me, it's like I use a lot of my Vietnamese influence
Yeah.
on my food, and it's like it's all the same like stuff. Like there's still the turmeric, there's still all the same look, mum, all these
Yeah.
flavors. I'm just changing the way we kind of serve it so that it is more interesting, right? But really, the flavor profile is exactly the same.
Max was on my team. Did I do anything that was wow and crazy? Where you're like, oh wow, no?
Nah, dude, your dish was good, simple. Just lots of cutting, lots of prepping.
Yeah. See, boring.
We got to it.
Max is not a fan. He should have been on my team.
It was good, man. I was just cutting vegetables, bro. I was trying not to fuck it up, okay?
Could have been with the Pham favorite. Sorry.
Oh, man.
I'm just gonna milk this as long as possible.
Oh, man. So, like, I guess now you've done MasterChef, everything. Like, you really get into cooking. What brings you joy with cooking? I mean, so you got 2 little boys now?
Yeah, 2 little boys.
Is it like, are they kind of like, are you just like introducing Vietnamese food to them or like?
Yeah. What do they think of your food?
100%. Like, look. I always say this, like, the judges, yes, they can be really hard critics on your food, and like,
Yeah.
it tastes, they can really tell you how shit a dish is, right? But they never just grab something, look at it, and just throw it straight on the ground. You know what I mean? There's a sense of,
That's nice of them.
yeah,
Damn.
you got little kids and they're just like uninterested. We could spend the longest time to make a really nice dish. They can be just extremely uninterested and be like, see you later, I don't want it. And then, there's days you just like make literally pesto from a jar, and they'll like eat 5 bowls of it, so it's rough, man. It's rough. And as a Vietnamese Australian, you wanna let them grow up with your culture, you want them to know where they're from. And it's hard, even for us already, we're trying to like find our roots, and I'm always coming back to Vietnam trying to find like the Tommy that would have been if he was still in Vietnam, or if he grew up in Vietnam, right?
Right.
We had that taken away from us. We had our culture like stripped away from us. We were forced to be stripped away from us, and we had to grow up as Australians, right? Like imagine if we grew up in Vietnam, how different would we be?
Yeah.
What would we know? You know what I mean? And I with the cookbook that I made, I wanted to kind of get not only like for me personally, it's like, hey boys, this is the stuff we eat.
Yeah.
This is stuff we're gonna grow up eating, and
Yeah.
this is its origins.
Yeah.
This is who you are,
Yeah.
right? And for me, that's why I was like, oh, that's such a cool meaning, and I want that book to be that same kind of meaning for other families.
Yeah.
Vietnamese, Australian families, Chinese, all Asian families, like a way for them to find some kind of way to their roots.
And that That book is called
My Family Kitchen.
My Family Kitchen.
My Family
Nice.
Kitchen.
Yeah. And what's the process of like making a cookbook like? Is some coming naturally to you, or is it just like more like technical than you thought it would be?
A lot more technical than you imagine. Like
Yeah.
Vietnamese cooking is a lot of taste and feel. Right? There's no measuring. Like I can guarantee you will never find an auntie that'll tell you a measurement to how to cook something. It's like chuck some of this in, chuck some of that in, you'll be right.
A bowl of this.
You use a
spoon and
half
something.
scoop of the coffee spoon,
Yeah, yeah.
and then use a half a scoop of the big
Yeah.
spoon.
Yeah.
Use a half of use a cup of sugar, and it's like they've got like the randomest size cup
Yeah.
of sugar or something. You're like, okay, well my cup's this big, so let me quarter it maybe.
Is that your measurements in the cookbook as well?
So obviously there's a lot of research, R&D, right?
Yeah.
You think about all your dishes you want to make, and it's a lot to think about in terms of like we know a lot of Vietnamese ingredients.
Yeah.
We know about these ingredients. Like it's just normal to us, but to people that don't cook Vietnamese food, they don't know half of it, right? So you've got to really kind of explain what these things are, or
Yeah.
you've got to make the ingredients that you put into it really
Yeah.
accessible, right? Because if you make it too hard for someone, then they won't make it.
Yeah.
Right. So you really try to simplify or make sure that you explain what some ingredients people might not know.
Yeah.
And I found that like there were so many things that we use that people don't know about. It's like all these starches, all these different seasonings. So it's a big process.
Yeah.
And you're doing a lot of cooking, and you're like, man, like I started measuring like a fish sauce, and like,
Yeah.
I was just like, that sounds about, okay, let's try a teaspoon, right?
Yeah.
And usually you're just like,
Yeah.
I need some more, whatever. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you're going by teaspoons, so it takes a lot longer
Yeah.
for you to make a dish that would take you, I don't know, an hour to make. It takes
Right.
like 3 hours.
Okay.
Because you got to make sure that it tastes perfect
Yeah.
and it's measurable.
Yeah.
So you're writing down things, and I'll show you guys a picture later. I've got like this video, and my kitchen cabinets are like a glossy paint on it. So I've figured out that when it's glossy paint, you can put whiteboard marker on it, and you just like
just
write all
writing
over it.
it, yeah.
So my whole kitchen was just like full of recipes. All these Vietnamese recipes, because like it's the fastest way for me to be like,
Yeah.
that's how much fish sauce, I'll put it down, right?
Right.
It's just like, I look like,
Rain Man.
yeah, Rain Man, or like, A Beautiful Mind, when he's just like
Yeah,
writing all the stuff, and like people come into the house and we're like, what's going on here, man? I'm like, oh man, it's a cookbook stuff, like don't worry about it. And they're like, it just looks so full on. It's just a whole bunch of writing on a wall.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good. It was great to like really find out what I really wanted, people to
Yeah.
start cooking, and like an easy way to introduce people to Vietnamese food at home.
Yeah. So when you've finished MasterChef, and then the process afterwards, like, are agents like knocking at your door, or do they set you up, and then this is where the cookbook deals come, or how does that work?
The process is pretty hard to. It's like you're like a normal person.
Yeah.
You go into this competition, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're like thrown into this limelight,
Yeah.
kind of PR, all this kind of stuff, like agents and all like brands wanting to work with you and stuff, and you're like, man, I just got out of this really hard situation. I don't know what's going on, right? And people, there will always be brands that try to take advantage of
Yeah.
you, right? There's a certain price that most people know brands will pay for, but brands that know you're new will always like undercut you, like 25% of it, and you're just. At the time, you're just like, bro, I'll do anything for money. You know what I mean? I get to do some food stuff, right? Because you're like, I get to do food and I get a little bit of money.
Yeah.
But then you realize like, there's so much more value in what you are and what you do. I was lucky enough to have an agent come on board.
Okay.
So they contact you if they find that you are someone that might get them a lot of jobs or whatever.
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
an agent comes along.
Yeah.
And then they do a little bit of like pushing the cold calls out to brands or whatever, or a lot of they'll get the brands that come to me.
Yeah.
And they'll negotiate deals and stuff like that.
Okay.
Oh, I guess we'll be in talks with your agent later for the price of today.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Don't look at me.
Damn, we got wrangled into that one.
I don't have an agent anymore. Actually, there's a good thing. I think when you're first starting off, having an agent really eases the kind of all the figuring out of all the rates and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. It's really quite a painful situation to
Yeah.
really like. It's like another job
Yeah.
on top of all the content stuff you do,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But I think later on, once you've kind of figured out that space,
Yeah.
it's always for me. I left my agent because I was like, I need to be more in control of the kind of decisions.
Oh, like who you're bringing on.
Yeah, and or who comes if somebody comes on, like let's say a brand goes, hey Tommy, we're really gonna work with you, but we've only got this amount of money.
Yeah.
There might be, or hey, do you want to come to this event or whatever? Some people's my agent at the time would just knock things back and not tell me. But for me personally, I want to be able to kind of build a relationship with the brand. If I like them, if I like their kind of ethos, if I like their kind of whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
I can start it like that, and then we can kind of build that kind of okay. Let's talk about cash money, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So what's the future look like? I mean, is it more brand deals? Is it, I mean, you work on the cookbook now, but maybe after that is like, where do we want to go?
I would say, look, I've got the 2 little boys, and I tell people this all the time. It's like I used to be a primary school teacher. I used to make X amount of money,
Yeah.
and now I do these brand deals. I do kind of the book. I do whatever kind of pop-ups or whatever. I get to spend 50% of my, let's say 50% less time than I do on teaching, going 5 days, and I get to spend 50. I make the same amount of money-ish. Let's say it's around the same, but then I get 50% of my time to spend with the kids. And I can't, you can't put a price on that. And that's like, I'll push so many things back because I'm like, I'm not going to, if I have an opportunity to, live quite humbly,
Yeah.
have the kids, spend time with them,
Yeah.
then I will. And once they grow up, once they're 13 and want to be stuck in a room and not want to talk to me,
Yeah.
and then I'll do stuff then. You know what I mean? It's all about figuring out when you can do stuff.
So definitely, like obviously, everyone would always be like after a show, they'd be like, "So when you open your restaurant, right?"
Yeah, 100%. I get it. Like it's probably the most asked question is, when you open your restaurant or do you have a restaurant?
Yeah.
And I always answer them why I want a life, so I don't want a restaurant. It's like I could open a restaurant, sure, but I'll have no life. It's so far away from the way I want to live my life, especially with the 2 kids. Like you go in, even when you do pop-ups, and you know this, right? About like you do a pop-up and you die for the 2 months that you're doing it. You've got no life. You come home and you're tired, but you're still thinking about what you need to do next.
Yeah.
And imagine that for like a job.
Yeah.
You have no social life. I won't see my kids. And it's not worth anything like that.
Yeah. And I hope people stop asking me as well. Where's your restaurant? When are you having a restaurant? It's like, I've done it before. I don't want to do it again.
Nah, and it's a terrible the industry is so. It needs change, right?
It's for me. I always say that it's a broken system.
It's broken.
Like, as chefs,
Yeah.
for me, I can only talk from I just think we need to be paid more for the amount of work we do.
100%.
But at the same time, the diners won't be able to afford if menus were actually priced correctly, it becomes unaffordable for a majority of the public.
Yes,
So it just doesn't work.
doesn't work. And when you're like the head of it all,
Yeah.
like when I do the pop-ups, I'm doing it for no money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm pricing it quite well as well compared to everyone else, but I'm doing it for like if I've counted the hours that I work for it, right?
Yeah.
You're getting paid less than minimum wage.
Yeah.
Because you're just grinding, you're doing whatever you can. And I get family on board. I get family and friends because I'm doing pop-ups, right? Like, yo, family and friends, can you guys help out? Serving, whatever. You start paying those people, you're bleeding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the only reason why restaurants can get by is like drinks. Like every single person I talk to in the restaurant business is like, if I don't sell drinks,
Yeah.
I don't make money, right?
Yeah.
Alcohol is the price difference between the cost and profit for alcohol is huge.
Yeah.
And it's easy to
It's
just
easy. You
go
just-
down a drink, get another one.
Pop a cork, pour a glass. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Done. Like 90% freaking revenue.
I'm happy to support. Do you have anything else that you'd maybe recommend that you think could change to help food and beverage? Or I mean, besides like higher wages, is there anything else in your mind? I mean, since you've kind of been in the space.
I think the change in, and this might be more of like an Australian or Western Asian kind of situation. I think the change in, or the perception of like Asian food being cheap, right? It's a big argument nowadays. Like it's like people expect to pay a certain price point for Asian food.
So you're saying like the Vietnamese food is always like lower than
Like,
the Australian or French?
Yeah, or French or Italian. But when you really think about it, right? Like a lot of work goes into these kind of Asian food. Like you're making the same amount of work.
Yeah.
Like let's talk about bánh canh gu, for example. You start a broth, pork, you got pork bones, you start a broth, you know, you got crab as well. You cook this broth for hours, right? Get that flavor out of the pork and stuff. Or even from the beginning, you start the pork broth by, you know, salting it, boiling it, pouring that first broth out. There's a big process to it, right? It's not just like you chuck it on and it's cooked, right? There's a huge process. You've got to make the bánh canh, you've got to fry the shallots, you've got to do so many little things.
Yeah.
You make like another seed oil
Yeah.
to mix into it. All these processes, right? And you're expected to pay like $14 for it. You know, it's the same amount of work. Let's say you make pasta, right? You can make the simplest pasta, right?
Yeah.
Pasta, oil, salt, crab meat.
Yeah.
$28. No one bats an eye.
Yeah.
Right.
Not a single eyelid is bat, right?
Yeah.
You make bánh canh with gu, and the whole process, like days worth of process,
Yeah.
and you charge more than $16, people are like, it's too expensive. Asian food shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
You know, one funny point that people don't think about is you talked about the long cooking time, right?
Yeah.
Your gas bill.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of Vietnamese restaurants were going under in America when like petroleum and gas went up because they had these
Yeah, right.
photos, which they cook for 24 hours and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Well,
crazy.
they were going under because their gas bills were so high. So it's another part of it you just don't think about.
Yeah, it's labor, right? Like in Vietnam, and I think in Vietnam, it's crazy. Like food is so cheap, right? And it's because labor is cheap, but food is so good as well because labor is so cheap that they can invest in the labor to make things nicer. For example, like if they fry chicken, right? At home, you fry chicken, you fry it done and dusted.
Yeah.
In Vietnam, because labor is so cheap, they'll fry it once, halfway or whatever,
Yeah.
just before serving. They can fry it again, serve it, and it tastes amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas in Australia, you can't have that extra manpower to do that extra step
Yeah.
because then you start losing out on money.
Yeah.
So it's all about the labor and the cost of labor. And obviously, the cost of labor in Australia is insane,
Yeah.
right? I don't know.
But yeah, this is right. For me, I'm always on about chefs should be getting paid more.
Yeah.
So the labor here, I think, also is disproportionate to what I think a dish should be charged.
Yes.
So yeah, when we keep saying it's cheap, I don't really want to use that word, but
Yeah.
I think the stuff that you have in here, I think it should be higher.
Like the street food, right?
The street food.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it's like it's
100%.
and I think that's where I guess with Vietnamese food, and this is my life in a nutshell. I've always struggled with this price point.
Yeah.
I've always, aimed to charge what I think is appropriate in terms of food costs, getting rent, paying staff the above award wages. My price point is always at a point where I think it's more or less correct, but then it's always compared to something. Oh, I go to Vietnam, it's X amount, but when I'm here, like in Hong Kong or wherever I'm doing the pop up, they're like, oh, but it's this amount, but shouldn't it be less? So like, how do we change that mindset? And I sort of, most of the time, most of my issues is always coming from the Vietnamese themselves.
Yeah, I definitely. It's like,
That's just been my biggest challenge.
yeah, Vietnamese harming Vietnamese
Yeah.
food is also a big part of it. It's not like it's not just the Western culture in Australia. It's like
Yeah.
Vietnamese people expect that same. Hey, our food should be cheap. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you make a bánh canh gu in Australia, for example, and it's $14 and $18, Vietnamese people were like, I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm gonna go to the other place. It's $12.
Yeah.
It's about the same. I'd rather eat there.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible culture in the sense that we need to all kind of lift and change it so that we, because we need to respect it more in the sense that like our food should cost more so that
Yeah.
all together we can rise up. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? But it's such a hard, and like obviously cost of labor with a lot of restaurants in Australia with Vietnamese restaurants, it's like they can do it because, you know, they hire cheap labor, right? They go cash in hand or whatever,
Yeah.
and they can make it cheaper, but then it ruins the whole overall picture of like, we'll never rise up against this kind of low price point.
Broken system.
That's a broken system.
It's a broken system.
But I mean, going to the street food side of the aunties and stuff, like, you know, they're scared to raise their prices.
Yeah.
Because like I'll talk to an auntie, I'm like, you know, my gosh, you've been selling this like kam tam, broken rice for like 20 years. Why is it still only 60K a plate? You give so much food,
Oh,
everything.
yeah, you were telling me about this one.
And she's like, I was like,
well,
why would you not raise the price? And she's like, because people won't think it's delicious.
if it's cheaper,
Same.
people will think it's delicious.
That's what she told me. She's like, they'll say it won't be delicious because it's more expensive. And that's just crazy to me because I don't think price and the taste should be in the same sentence.
Yeah.
You know?
It's usually like you'd expect, if you're paying more than it should, have a higher expectation. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but that's crazy.
Because we do have like kam tams that are more expensive, like bagin or like there's another one that's it's very
like 200,000.
it's
But I think it's worth it. It's like, given I wouldn't get it every day, but I think it's worth the value. What you get, what you pay for, it's all there.
and the only place I've seen places like rise in street food or more of like the tourist places, right? So like banh mi Huyen Hoa.
Yeah.
That I mean definitely they've raised prices. There's a Bung Thit Nung in District 1 that keeps raising their prices. It's good to see, but people keep paying it. Because sometimes like me, like I'll pay the extra money because I know it's gonna be delicious.
Yeah.
Because I know they can afford the ingredients, I know they can afford the labor.
Yeah.
And just hopefully the owners aren't living.
So you think just raise the prices, just keep doing it, and people just like accept it?
Accept it.
I think eventually, I
Well,
understand.
they have to, right?
Right, but
Yeah.
I understand where Auntie's scared because that's her only form of income.
Yeah.
Is like, well, and then if I raise this price, people are gonna stop coming.
Yeah.
Man, I'd be scared too.
There is that
Yeah.
fear.
And I
For sure.
I
But then
understand
if
the
people,
fear.
in Vietnam, it's very fickle. If people stop coming and then she puts it back down, for example,
Yeah.
they're not going to come back. They've
Right.
already left.
They're gone.
Once you've left, like you found a new place, it's like you move on to places quite quickly.
Yeah, it's like you talked about. You go across the street, and the problem with like Kam Tam in Saigon is
Everywhere.
how many can you choose from? 300.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, man, it's like
Way more.
so many. So
But Hoa Hun, man, Hoa Hun banh mi is amazing, isn't it? It's like, I would say, you don't like it? I would say quality
it's not
wise.
for me.
It's not for you?
No.
I would say quality wise. Like, I honestly think some people are like, oh my God, banh mi is so good in like Vietnam, Saigon, right? But like, I think with our quality ingredients in Australia, banh mi in Australia is like really top notch. You know what I mean? We've got some pretty good quality banh mi. Oh, he's gonna disagree.
I
with
no,
me.
I do agree.
Yeah.
But I think the banh mi that's in Australia, I think suit Australians. Me just being over here, being over in Asia, like I'm not into the whole in your face full burrito style banh mi's. It's just for me, it's not balanced. And you have like ones here. It's more for me. It's more of a balanced thing. It's not too meat heavy. It's not pickled heavy. It's not pate heavy. It's just like everything has its moment and reason inside the banh mi.
Yeah, definitely. I think.
I think that's why a lot of people, I guess, tourists, when they come to Vietnam, they like banh mi Huyen Hoa a lot.
Yeah.
Because it does match this. But again, this is I found a point where for, I guess, Vietnamese Australians or Vietnamese Americans, when they're doing the banh mi shops overseas,
Yeah.
the only way they can raise their prices
Yeah.
is to stuff that banh mi with more shit inside.
Yeah.
that's fair. Yeah, like Huyen Hoa has gone up in price, but that thing has gotten huge.
It's huge.
It's over a kilo, bro.
Bro,
It's
it's
huge.
bigger than the stuff in Australia. Australian stuff is
Yeah.
quite big. And I think I see, like, you know how we're kind of talking about the negatives of food and stuff. I see it happening with banh mi though.
Yeah.
Like banh mi in Australia, right? It's getting these kind of, it's huge right now. It's trending. It's just getting up and up and up. And everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, banh mi is the best, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, Vietnamese food in general in Australia, it just keeps.
Are you a part of the banh mi appreciation
Banh mi-
side? You know?
I know of it. I don't. I have enough time to be
so
on
toxic,
that.
that
It's
one.
toxic. It's toxic. So like it's the prices are rising and people are paying for it because they know good quality banh mi
Yeah.
now, right? They're used to a certain.
That's really interesting you say because you know T, right? T's here as well.
Yeah.
And she has in Melbourne a place called Kakom. She finds that she struggles a little bit with her pricing because I think she does it around 12 or 14 or maybe even less than that. And she said she cops a bit of flack for that.
Yeah, 100%. And But we need people like T to do that
Yeah.
kind of stuff so that we can continue to grow it, right?
Yeah.
If you're making like good quality stuff,
Yeah.
you need to charge it, and you got to let the people that understand it
Yeah.
pay for it, and then kind of spread the word.
Right,
Yeah,
for sure.
This is some good, like that's some good shit. That's why it's that much.
Yeah.
T, I mean, she's gonna catch flack because she's kind of like not trend setting, but being she's the first one to maybe push the
But
price.
she's making everything herself.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She needs to market it
brings
more.
Whole pigs into the shop, breaks it down, and does it all.
Well, yeah,
She's
yeah.
not buying all the jalo.
Well, that's what I'm
and
getting
the-
at.
yeah.
She may have the price, but she also needs to just market it better.
Yeah.
This is this price because
Yeah, right,
X, Y,
yeah.
and Z.
Yeah,
Like Vietnamese food needs a hype man.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like for me, like I like to really like make Vietnamese food really interesting and
Yeah.
really like add extra kind of processes or layers to it,
Yeah.
right? But when I do that, and especially for pop-ups and stuff, it's
Yeah.
like the more I do it, the more like I think when it tastes even better,
Yeah.
like I lose so much value in money that I can't afford.
Right.
It kind of limits my creativity.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
It's such a hard way. And like for me, the pop-ups, like I said before, I don't make any money from it
Yeah.
because I get like something else from it, right? It's like it's not always about money, right? For me, the pop-ups is about building that passion still, about like releasing that creative energy.
Yeah.
I'll make money from brand deals. I'll make money from whatever so that I can continue to kind of pursue my passion in a way that, I can release it, have my fun with it, and then just continue to do it every once in a while while having an actual source of income, because obviously food you can't.
Yeah. It's like the wrong industry to be in if you want to make money.
Man, that's depressing.
Well, why do you think I got out of it? Like, I'd never say never to get back on that market, but for me, it's just there's no. Yeah, I don't want to be the ones that I'm always complaining about money, but it's more valuing yourself
Right.
and your time, and believing that what you bring to the table is worth something.
For sure.
But if the general public aren't willing, this is just to Asian food. If they don't feel that it's worth it, for me it just breaks me. It's just like, then why do I do it?
Yeah,
For sure.
But like a Tom, Dick, and Harry can just do some Western food and charge, I don't know, X amount, and for them it's just like, oh, it's easy. It's hard.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that was a good
good ending.
all roundabout podcast. A little depressing ending, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Tommy, do you have anything like you want to go ahead and say something?
Yeah. So I guess just to end things off.
Yeah.
What do you want? I guess people have seen your journey. What have you experienced, and what do you want them to take away from your journey?
I think at the end of the day, like, try to find a way to really, for me, connecting back to my roots and like being proud of my culture, my heritage, has really given me like a new kind of look on life, right? I see things so differently, and like it's crazy that I used to not think this way.
Yeah.
So I think if you can somehow find something that helps you reconnect to your own culture or to someone else's culture,
Yeah.
do it, because your life will change. That's 100%. I think it'll make your life so much fuller if you can kind of find something that really resonates within your body. That I really love this kind of shit. I love this shit. You know what I mean? I love this. I love where I am. I love who I am, because it's all about finding who you are, right? It's like if you find something from within that you can really hold on to it and explore it. And don't think about the money. Don't think about whatever. Just think about how you can fit it into your life, and then it's always happens. Like you fit it into your life slowly. It grows more. It goes a little bit more. Then all of a sudden, it's your life. So just do it. And if you got a tingling feeling that you want to do something that's difficult or scary, but you still really want to do it, I always say, like, there's 90% of the people in the world are like always like, oh, I want to travel abroad, and I want to live abroad, but I'm scared. Take the leap, man. Take the leap. Take a leap of faith. Do it, and it will always work out. No matter what problem it is, you'll figure it out, and you do whatever you want to do. But if you don't take that leap of faith, you'll never get there. And when I went to move to Japan,
Yeah.
2 years I lived there. Like I didn't know anything about Japan. I didn't know anything. I came there and I was like, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the world loves to give you something if you try, right? All you got to do is try. So take the leap of faith.
And
That's a good one.
that was a good question. That was much better than mine. I was going to ask him what he wanted to plug.
Well, on the plug side, My Family Kitchen in Australia, obviously you can pre-order it. It's out on July 4th. I am figuring out the international order situation because Book Depository is closing its doors.
Oh, yeah.
And that was that was Penguin. Sorry, I'm published with Penguin Random House, and that was our international order situation.
Yeah.
So I'm still figuring it out, and if anything, I'm just gonna take a whole bunch of books, chuck it in my room, get you guys to pre-order it straight through Instagram or whatever, and I'll send them out.
Pre-order gets a signature?
And what's the Instagram handle?
Instagram handle is Tommy Pham Eats. Tommy
Okay.
Pham, like not Pham like F-A-M, but P-H-A-M, like the Vietnamese last name. Eats, like you would eat something with an S. Anyway, Tommy Pham Eats, Instagram handle.
Awesome. We'll put the links below.
Yeah.
Wherever have we got our things done yet?
No, I got it. Get off my back. Get off my back.
Okay.
Sick.
No, man, we appreciate your time coming
Loved
in.
it.
Thanks, Tommy.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys. Peace.
That's all from us. Oh, we're gonna do that one.
I can imagine the